Okay, family, one good evening to everybody. Good afternoon, good morning. This is National Media Platform. They can't go now today, Tuesday, the 25th of May, 2021. Very special program dedicated to the redemption, emancipation of Africa, Africans, and people of Black African heritage globally. I speak from the basis of Pan-Africanism, to which I'm a member. I've not been very active lately, but of course, this go back like decades. But that is in my DNA. When I speak, is from that perspective that I speak from. And today, a very special day. I'm really not be prepared for this because I went to work, and it's like after work, well, I'll have to do something anyway. So hence why I can't sit down and decide to do something quick, be 20 or 25 minutes. At least it give me some level of freedom and peace and innermost peace that at least on this day I rob much because nothing will not sit down many a times in the past, many decades, sit down and argue whether or not ghetto, whether or not workshops, yeah, or within the spheres of academia. Yes, we've done this many a times, good debates. But as the years they push on and the birthday of the day itself, they become older, people tend to shy away from the ideology set forth by the forefathers of African emancipation. But just a quick one, in the 1960s, many African countries then begin to forget their independence through direct and indirect. I say direct and indirect on this basis that some of them fought for independence fiercely, some of them fiercely, shed blood, tears, and sweat, whilst others were given on the basis of arrangement. So on that basis, they look back, when Europe went to war, or most of the colonial masters, they went to war, they destroyed themselves. And I can always say the reason why they destroyed themselves, they can tell we X, Y, Z reason. But one of the main reasons is that of human resource and mineral resources. Human resource, mineral resources, both of which God gave in abundance. So they've always tried to carve us up, divide us up, and then consume us in different ways in which we toil and with our labor, and then the benefit goes elsewhere. This has been going on for centuries, from the inception of slavery to colonialism and down outright neocolonialism, which again the forefathers warn us of. But like I've been saying, in the 1960s, it been difficult for continue for keep them colony there for two reasons. One, unrest become very expensive for maintain, because after all, the people on the ground, the people that own these places where these colonizers colonize, were in the many. So as then they get wise up and being led by leaders, then we don't wisen up, people then begin to get conscious. It's like, no, this cannot continue for happen. So unrest begin for brew, no matter how they beat people then still they come, because why? They were in the many and they resisted in every shape or form. Yes, and so far, some of them were killed, some of them were jailed, some of them were they castrate some people. To this day, this is how they are. Some of them don't go to their grave. Some of them very old now. We still get older people who bear the scars of this. So like I mean, they say the colonialists not be able any longer for maintaining colonies in there, because it had become very expensive for run by virtue of the unrest where we don't begin to take place. People don't begin to sabotage their assets them, like their businesses them. And unrest generally will make the climate unsuitable for operate. So because we were in the many, gradually we begin to overcome. And when they went to war because of us and tore themselves apart and destroyed Europe, in which the emergence was the great United States of America, they decide for giving independence directly and indirectly. Like I say, some they say, we want to independence now. Others, well, we go negotiate, and they did. Like me, conscious and the commodity was negotiated, and leaders they disagree. Some of them say, okay, we will. So anyway, when the emergence of independence and they begin to come out gradually, this happened in the late 50s. Like Ghana, I believe, was 1957, and other countries then begin to follow in the 60s, early 60s, and mid 60s. But some countries never got their independence, like Zimbabwe, until the 1980s. But the big thing about this program here tonight, which is dedicated to the liberation of Africa, the struggles of Africa, at which time the Organization of African Unity with good intentions was born, even though they began a division at that time then, back in 1963. Today, May 25, mark their birthday. With me for chat this program here tonight, in about 20 to 25 minutes, probably 30 minutes. I hope for me 20, 25 minutes. It's none other than my co-host and the man we can always present the Inside Salon program today, na the Den and Media Empire, Mr. Mohamed Kamara. Mr. Kamara, welcome to the program.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay. So like you hear me say, I mean, just to give a brief narrative about the day itself, which is the African Liberation Day. They call it Liberation Day because there was a period of struggle going back then. And this struggle was a long struggle, and it took many phases. There was the inception of, how do you call it, slavery. After almost 500 years of slavery came colonialism. After colonialism, we suffered neocolonialism, which we forefathers, they warned us of. But in the early 60s, when the countries there beginning to get their independence, they formed this organization where they call the Organization of African Unity, in which the late Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia was the leader then, we be the champion then cause there, and the thing say, well, we Africans who don't begin forget we independence, we need for come together, and coming together means we need for form one strong entity. So some leaders, they will be understand and then, but Mr. Mohamed, even then, there was division because the formation of OAU been getting your own drawback. You get two sets of people and groups. I mean, you can get the Casablanca group and the Monrovia group. We not agree on a common agenda, even though they went on for form the OAU. So waiting that you read, waiting that you take, on this African Liberation Day, the struggles then, the struggles now, and going forward.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Prince Emil Kroma and family on Adu. And first of all, I want to say the struggle continues. I know say very frustrating. So we, lots of Africans all around the diaspora, the world, wherever we find ourselves, very, very frustrating. Say we face setback after setback after setback. But again, we go for a look at the trajectory of Usa we come on. Like what the brother say, nearly 5 centuries in slavery. Then after that come colonialism, neo-colonialism, and so many other things. And many of the world institutions, them, like the likes of IMF, the World Bank, when they set them, Africa not be there at the table. Because if you find out the guy called them, he called the Woodrow Wilson Conference during the president, Woodrow Wilson in America, and then said them, and most of them said their organization, Africa was a colony. So most of the African countries were owned by countries. So then countries are being represented. So will not be represented, they will not be there at all. You find out saying that let them solidified the divide and conquer, all the other things that we will face in Africa. We see just after independence, we get strong leaders and we grab. Try to say, okay, Africa, we need for come together, we need for work as one for push the continent or people them forward. The likes of Kwame Nkrumah, Thomas Sankara, and many others, Julius Nyerere, America Cabral, and others. These were patriotic African leaders where we once set a trajectory where like the things would have been much better. But from the onset, the people say they give independence, will not be giving independence. When I say they give the cow the only rope, that may happen. So we Africans, we're going to be aware about all of these different works at play. So we set up in a very, very disadvantaged way. All the things that they against we. The people set up all these world organizations, all these world bodies, so on and so forth. So we're coming from a very, very disadvantaged position. And again, the people and you the cow the only rope. So all of those things, we see how the French countries peg their currency against the colonial master and so on and so forth. All of these things were machinations by the colonialists, the colonial powers, and then back at them, the United States and others, for me to make sure so they control what they see as the resource of the world, the resources in the world, in Africa and base. So they think they were for control, how for controlling people are divide and conquer. You find out just after independence, we started getting loads and loads of civil wars. Civil wars that were backed sometime by the East and by the West. That time the Soviet Union was struggling with America. So they see all links in the how they come into fold. So these are all pointers them where hamper the African development. So now make that today when they see say some of us are seeing that we are not going any we're not going no side, but I believe so we're going somewhere because Africa will get a population, a youthful population. And since the onset of social media, people they don't get in a phone, that the phone become a tool for them to understand what they go on at the world. And people
leader for the newly created Ivory Coast. And only in between at the middle, and we see how the country rip apart, a beautiful country, and the investment they were been getting. So Sékou Touré refused for joining that club because the French people, the France say the French countries then they for come together, then go look after them, help for develop them, use their currency and what have you. It was all a trick. And most of the countries were not prepared for it. But we can say Sékou Touré then we get the foresightedness that these people like, we don't own we don't do all this kind of thing to we. Who's kind of good again they go can't do we know. We need for be a self-aspiring people. We need for take the mantle of leadership now we on. We need for forge forward. We need for come together and make it support the unification of African leaders then. And not join that French club made up of Senegal, the Ivory Coast, and few of them countries, and the way you see this at a French franc zone. So for a while, the same thing where they can use sanction and embargo, where you don't agree with them, that's what they did to Guinea. For several decades, all that time we Sékou Touré been in power because Sékou Touré refused to accede. He had prominent slogan them, like one of them we left now here up to this time, which is I prefer poverty to freedom than riches to slavery. Very powerfully said, and I interpret the entire way the country be there. So yes, if we get people from within where hits, but we know exactly what he wants because the man in vision been based on the concept of African personality about ourselves. That's what he was aiming for, a revolution of development, of social progress, of international relation. But now we for determine them, not so other person they can't determine them for we. Sékou Touré said all of these things, and for that, then punish him because he truly decided for remain independent. I don't need for adopt a currency. I don't need for take me reserve and go keep on to una. You guys have had it all these many, many decades. Look at us, poor us. So why we can't take our own destiny with your hand? If we don't help, we can't help, but we must determine the course forward and punish them, and we see what thing happen in Guinea. But one of the greatest things that the Guineans benefited from is the cultural revolution, almost like the Chinese. It wasn't a done process because as fate could have it, Sékou Touré had to pass. From there, we see the transition of the country from military, Lassana Biavogi, and Lassana Conte, and the rest of it. And that cause they was never attained. But what thing you can see about the Guinean people is how entrepreneurial they are, how in terms of custom and tradition they are, culturally, how strong they are. That's what it is. So they can come on any country and go any side without anything and can leave. They became enterprising. They can use their hands. They can use their head. This line they left with them and a sense of independence. You can wonder why war not ever go to the country. Because why? The people had some kind of a philosophy, some kind of a doctrine. And indoctrinated people is a people who just have for let you go penetrate so and go begin tell them X, Y, Z. You can see most of the countries that have no doctrine, then quickly penetrate them, such as ours. We go big for independence. So we political whatever, it just collapsed in the face of it. You see waiting happen na Zaire. Now, I didn't call her waiting at the new name. Patrice Lumumba, the new leader, where he might from there. They're just looking at it and free the eye. And the man was determined, says Zaire, the entire Zaire need for be free. We need real independence. Because what them they do, now trick them they play all along. They never wanted to give us full independence. They wanted to cajole us, say, okay, we'll not take the country, but we go dictate the pace behind the lines, like Abide say. It had become difficult for run the colonies. Okay, Patrice said no. What did they do? They instigated a coup against them. CIA instigated coup. The late President John Kennedy not be even know that. Because we know now, from the release of documents that now later on I learned about that and not be like the idea. Did the same thing to one of the greatest, Kwame Osagyefo Nkrumah, that the entire Africa will never be free. I mean, Ghana will never be free until the entire Africa is free. He set up a school of revolutionaries in Ghana, in which the late president of Zimbabwe, Robert David Mugabe, attended, and many other scholars then passed through there. The same thing happened in South Africa because South Africa was one of the last to get independence. So at this day, this time what we talk about, what happened then was like something like 30 countries or 25, between 25 and 30 countries will be non independence then. We come together, although they may get a division them like the Monrovia group and the Casablanca group, but they managed to form the Organization of African Unity based on a philosophy where most of them be embraced at the time the likes of Ahmed Sekou Touré, the likes of Julius Walimu Nyerere. We can remember that Julius Walimu Nyerere begat a philosophy where they call Ujamaa, and Ujamaa na a Swahili word. I remember what they school many years ago. I've been joining a party, school party where they call Ujamaa. There were two, Uhuru and Ujamaa. Never ever forget that. Nobody understand ourselves deeply, but was so politically interested and a virgin for that matter that I just jumped into it. So we later on learned in a socialist ideology, we formed the basis of what Julius be actually want for in country, some kind of economic development, social and economic development for in country. Right after they gained independence from Britain, the country of Magufuli, as we know lately, is free. So therefore, chart their own cause. And many other people that will come. Same thing happened in Nigeria. Nana Azikiwe, the first president, all the hopes of our people, millions and millions of them, dashed later on because other people from the outside, same colonial masters, just like me, my brother, they say here tonight, all information that they was in their own interest, go from Bretton Woods and this IMF and what have you, and begin to impose policies then back on us. This is the neo-colonialism that Kwame Nkrumah promised, that yes, they would do it from afar and use remote, and sometimes use we own people that will look like we on the ground. And this is what we see happening today. Over to you, Super.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Prince Emil Nkrumah. And it's also very relevant and important when they give this broader view. Let people understand the obstacles them when they don't set for you over the centuries, because it's not a today business. You know, like when you don't say how many, over 4 centuries in slavery. So that trajectory continue. Take colonialism, take this neo-colonialism, all these sorts of things. Look at even after the Second World War, when they set this from League of Nations to United Nations, a whole continent not get seats at the top seat at the Security Council. Meanwhile, yes, Europe, when the African population of Africa gets 3 members then, now the Security Council. These are all obstacles they put on the way because then take and say, okay, we don't muscle them, we don't wrap them in a way where before say it go difficult for them. Men then get up. So what thing that happen is me and you, we the white African population, they begin to say now we are enemy to one another. When they begin to say, oh, now you know the problem, I mean the problem, now that not the problem. But this not that now that they want. The people that must set up all this world order, now that they want. Because now that they to the advantage. Yeah. That they make where me and you do with farming in Sierra Leone, with farm cacao, the price what they sell them, they set in London. When they go man with iron ore, the price when they sell them, they set in New York. How can that be just? You know, there are many injustices, over 1 million injustices. But that all happened because what you do, we never struggle for come together. And I know many people will say, oh, well, the blame is on us now. But one of the people understand, say, the obstacles them, when they don't set, it's so difficult for jump over them and shut away. Sometimes they look at them and say, it's almost insurmountable, impossible. We're not going to do it. And when they begin looking out, say, okay, what's another problem is, now we set safe. Because not the whole world setting. And it's very important, I mention the creation of World Bank and IMF. This now, the total creates the big organization they are so. We not be there at the table. Most of the countries in Africa, we are colonies. So that the British represent some of we, the Portuguese represent some of we, the French represent some of we. So our interest was not in the table. And we know after Second World War, Europe was nearly bankrupt. Now the organization they set up, now they kickstart European economy. Then pour money in the European economy them without little or no interest whatsoever. Come up with programs them without little of no interest for me them boost the economy again. And we see them. Now this same organization here say then they try for help. Can you imagine if the United Kingdom want borrow 10 million from IMF? Probably the own interest will be less than 1%. If Sierra Leone want borrow 10 million from IMF, probably the interest will be nearly 30-40%. Then create a system where they get what they call companies, the like of Standard and Poor's, when then they rate countries them. Just the kind of do no more so where it's like targeted people in a certain community, say then credit rating poor. So even if an African country, we don't want to take debt, go take debt, without even one day taking, they don't want to default. Standard and Poor's, they say, well, because of certain reasons, then are high risk borrowers. So automatically, who's saying that they get 1% interest, that African country, they get 20-something% interest. And we all know if you get for pay so much huge interest, you get them on the however you invest them, you almost they pay, you profit only more go per interest. And all of these are obstacles. They set them because they take and say, okay, to that way they Africa will take too long for come up and come together able to develop themselves. So we're going to use Africa continuously for replay more food from the resources them. When they help for boost the economy them at their own expense. So all of these things don't become Albert Ross around who neck. Now, sometimes they will look to we safe. Now, make us say, what we need for do now, we as Africans, we go for love and respect we safe. Despite whatever circumstances, we get the youngest population, not the world. Now, God help with this social media where they don't create for come to your own advantage. Because like this program on Bokaso, there's an opportunity for people and from your own country at least for able to listen them. They say learn something from them. They say go on social media, go online, find out information about NTSO and distribute their information among themselves, learn plenty things between themselves. And this gets huge benefit because when the general population, the masses, become educated in all them issues, then we believe, say, we go see ourselves as partners. An African man in Brazil, an African man in America, in Russia, in China, in Nigeria, in South Africa, we see ourselves as partners. And our main competitors is the West and the East. We see now another huge competitor coming from China. We see the West has an hegemony between Europe and America. These are all competitors for us. But unless we realize that we work as partners for compete with them, it's going to be difficult for us. You cannot use Sierra Leone where the economy, even this small town I live in the United Kingdom, the infrastructure, what's it called, it almost time bigger than Sierra Leone economy. So you cannot use the economy in Sierra Leone so can compete with the United Kingdom. No. We stand no chance. You know, go take a small puss, say that puss go fet lion. Other puss go fet that lion. There is no way. So, but if we come together, then puss it gets 50 puss or 70 puss come together. Begin fet that lion, they go create an impact. Because they don't go to try for attack, it will attack them from all directions. So this, I believe, this message to the one I'm share with more of us Sierra Leoneans because they listen this, we'll talk about Creole, is that let we see ourselves as brothers and sisters. Now we begin our national now we countries them. Now begin develop countries them. Now get that idea, let's say yes. Like what you say, I'm me a person who don't live in Guinea. I actually I really admire the cultural background and the ideology where the Guineans get. Yes, they're not able to profit by boku them, but the Guineans are very resolute. Any South Indian in that sub-region, they're very creative. They get so many things that they do for able to survive and look after themselves, whatever the circumstances. Yeah. And this all, it takes some time. They suffer, but it makes them build in terms of their resilience very, very strong. For able to think for themselves, able to do things on their own. They're very creative as well. So all of those things, we could use them. They are good examples. We should not give up. We for take this say yes, there has been so many setbacks. There has been so many issues. They don't bring so many wars and so many things in our country, now our continent. But now we always be determined. Say yes, we can get there. If only we understand, we make the masses understand waiting in at the ground, how we for tackle these issues. Because there are many, many issues at play. How we for tackle them is us coming together, begin negotiate as a collective. If when they produce cocoa in Sierra Leone, they produce cocoa in Ivory Coast, they produce cocoa in Ghana, they will get sitting at the table somewhere outside. They evaluate the price of cocoa in the world market. Because we are the producers. And this is very, very fundamental. But if they're able to go begin pick one per week out, they only don't pick Ivory Coast. I remember saying, I don't get choice. Pass me say go wait a call. That is what they do. Then they pick one after the other, pick one after the other. Yep. So that we're not going to come together. We get for see that. We get for see that and realize that not for work anymore. That not for work anymore. Make a leader not feel say that they support you. No. They only pushing a power type for say that they support you because they pick you apart. The person not agree in and try for set coup par they come out. So for leaders them and we the general masses understand that we stop for fetch we self, we will able to do. We able to do. Maybe we will pick it and we will realize and say yes, indeed Africa don't come together. Africa don't begin benefits for the resource from the resources them, and the people in Africa don't begin reap from that benefits. So in a wonderful day like this, Mr. Prince Seminole, I'll hand the topic back over to you, but it's very, very interesting topic, and I believe it's unfortunate that I will not be able to market and widely for them. Plenty people will come, but let this discussion continue, definitely.
Yeah, many thanks, Mr. Mohammed Supermed Kamara. I mean, after you've explained, it's difficult for go on explaining again because you've made it, more simple. You don't broken down. But Famble, what I go add to this is for say, all waiting the brother. Your religion was changed, your culture, you kind of confused the same way how they born we picking in between. And some of us get carried away because some of us are successful. Imagine you get a big body of people and then one small group they inside successful as opposed to the other. In other words, you live second class inside another class of people, while the bulk majority of your people, and this is also a tactic employed by them, the bulk majority of your people or people that will look like you are in suffering. When I say suffering, complete suffering, because one of the things is the degradation of the skin. Now, it really matter. How then they degrade we? And again, layers. Most of it is institutional because why we not get our own power? We don't have our own power. If you hear back in the 60s when they coined the term Black power, now after people they don't suffer so much, and it's like, well, we self need power because the whole thing brought down in power. You don't get for wait for other people and for can't tell you how for live. Like in America, you get over 40 million Black people. Put all that money whether they put together, whether they take care to their society. The other people in society, even here soon at the United Kingdom, the same thing. We they take money, whether not the church they where we attend them, Black church they are where we go to every Sunday. We go give them millions of pounds, then take them millions of pounds, then can go to the same people in bank, the same people that use them bank, then credit their own people and not credit we, then create home and other social advantages then for the people because we not get we own back, we not get we own system, and this is what Superman was saying. And there's much more to say to this, before we end the program. But let me play small revolutionary music. Let me play small revolutionary music. Oh, yes. Mozambique. Zambia shall be free. About Ubunde. Okay, Fambul and Abdi, just for warm up the floor, because you see the struggle, and this struggle goes back, this struggle not begin today. And it come in all kinds of shapes or form. Music, sports, people that they play sports and then they exercise, then kind of freedom, then when they look for either Black Power salute, either boycott or go run and beat people on the race itself. But the struggle goes back, and it's not one of the heroes them back then. Sonny Okonsu, maybe they sing their militant song there because it been quite necessary at the time. But like we say again, we can go on and on about this. What thing we need to understand is the concept of the other people, and we don't engage with in the most dehumanizing of ways for hundreds and hundreds of years, and up to this day, not get any regard for we. We need to understand this. Now the interest nine and the seek. So therefore, we should be seeking, pursuing our own interest, but we can only do them in the collective. And then we'll always play in between we, and you already, Mr. Supermedia said that, this is exactly what they do. They divide and rule policy, and just they shape them in different ways and form, but it's still very prevalent in today's society. The people that when they run amok na street for stone we, beat we, call we names, they're no longer on the streets. Today, they have morphed into something else. They have evolved and have become sophisticated. Guess who they are? The judge we sit down na the panel, na the bench, the judiciary or whatever. Now one of them is in a street, but they don't evolve. They wear coat and tie. The teacher when they teach we picking them, no longer in the street. They don't go polish them up. They in the school. And so many others in the stratas of the society, the structures of the society, we can affect the lives of others. They don't really care. You only need to think about people who can go up 50,000 feet and drop 500-pound bombs on babies and children and women, and then come down and give milk and biscuits, and ask who's kind person this. And the day where we close ranks together and they know this, is the demise, but we don't look at them as such, because we're in a partnership now. We look for form. We want dignity, we want respect, and this is what we've been calling for. But one side is greedy and the other side is not, and then continue for make we for look like say we are useless. These are people that we work for over 400 years without pay. Day and night, you control them and make you this rich. But the division of us now they continue for perpetuate this because we still not close ranks yet. Supermed.
Yes, thank you very much, Brother Prince Emil Kuma. So they try for wrap up. And family, I thank you once more again. Please, let this day on a diary, on a keep them. Probably next time we'll try to make it even bigger. Lord, try to bring up so many people and get involved by this mission. Because like what the brother said earlier on just now, so it's very important. We are not saying one for destroy the other side, no, from the east or from the west. No, we just want to become partners with them. Make sure, say, when they do business, mutually, they benefit both of the parties involved. Right now, the business what they do, now one side they benefit. The other side, it barely they survive. Barely they survive. You see, and that is grossly unfair. So we're not saying, okay, they can't invent, we can't do, no. We just want to get a fairer playing field. Because you cannot tell me any business for me go they do. Say, you get the business, if I sell water, now you they set the price and tell me how much I will sell the water. No, that cannot be business. That price, if it will be a negotiation between me and you. I get for look at the cost of me producing that water and what I go sell to you. Not to what you think say if I buy, what if you say the water cost me? No. So there has to be that negotiation. Now make I say the only way, if we come together, we stop that thing there. That cannot be right. When we pull a diamond, then it's how much this diamond value. No, we forget an input for say why make this diamond value so much. We coltan. What did they pull up? We will not say all electronic gadgets in the world. Then use coltan. Why not then they tell we how much it costs? Why we not go say, well, this coltan, so we see in value. Because I get so many high-valued products in the world, they cost billions, if not trillions, from them products. So we want to negotiate a fair price. We will get benefit from the money particular products that they produce. So all of these things, if we only can come together and we leaders them, therefore be a little bit, they get for sacrifice because they will face so many obstacles. Everyone do such. But I make we need for sensitize we say. Because when you sensitize your population, we see with the late megaphone in Tanzania. They did all kind of way for on sit. It was impossible because the people them appreciate them greatly. They know he's doing a great job. So any leader will get in Africa, if the people that you populace understand what you do, you work selflessly. The people go gravitate to you, they go be you security. And this is the way one of the African leaders and for discuss to ourselves. We own job, and I believe the job of the mass, we all, is for come together and talk about their issues there. So now we understand them from a layman perspective. You know, the ordinary person go understand them from that way. They say that people they have, then they benefit. But we, when you think of small countries, when the population only 70 million, not even reach the population of the people living in, let me say, in Egypt or Congo, something like that, their own economy.
Yeah.
It takes the one whole continent economy, one of them continent. That they show you the ghostly disadvantage what will be. And when you think of them, say, nearly 70 to 80% of the raw materials so they use for industry all about the world, they come on our continent. So what will they get from them?
Exactly.
These are all important questions. Them where definitely we go for a put to people. We try to talk about and not discuss. Don't we understand them? Not discourage. There are many obstacles, and there is reason why. Like we highlight so many of the things we make the struggle for able to empower ourselves and emancipate ourselves, pull ourselves from this situation. Because these people are done the parties for centuries. So you don't just take one to know for common parties. It will take us time. But we're going to be patient and persevere. So again, over to you, Brother Prince Koma.
Absolutely. Let me just wrap up this quickly. So Famoluna, don't hear it. You see, we forebearers and we come fight the struggle, which will be the likes of Dr. Kenneth David Kaunda, Zambia shall be free. Z. Jomo Kenyatta of Kenya. Julius Teacher Walimu Nyerere. Sekou Ahmed Toure, one of the greatest nationalists ever. Dr. Kwame Osajifo Nkrumah, the freedom fighter ever. Dr. Robert Mugabe, one of the greatest resistance fighter ever. Samora Machel of Mozambique ever. Amilcar Cabral, when they tried to kill so many times the Portuguese invasion na Guinea-Bissau ever. And many more. And in most recent times, one of Africa's most charismatic, most youngest, and most powerful leader, the late Captain Thomas Sankara, may so rest in peace. We see all them people that way don't come and try for change the dynamics. But because others did not join them in the fight, they managed to eliminate them. The late Libyan leader, he later on tried for join and understand. Probably during all those years, maybe they try for understand, or say in the study. And finally, when he decided for do something and break away, We see how they come, then bomb them and kill and then trump up all kind of lies. These people, they lie with straight face through their teeth and come and kill we leader them with impunity and then go free. Because why not? Then they dictate 30 days. Who are we, 1.6 billion? Yet we people and want swim across the Mediterranean for come back to them. How will they respect us? How will we look like dignified people? Yet we get leaders them when they seek that now. So thief now in a deeper. Instead of them they strengthen the structures back home for create jobs for our young population where they enable growth, usai we come out. Yet they care only about themselves and this thing continue. So sometimes, yes, we do take the blame. This is what I'm trying to say. And the expression here tonight is one that's very strong. We know the other side very strong that they dictate waiting they want to buy with goods and services for. And all we've been asking all these decades is just give us a clear, plain, level field. Let's observe fair trade. I bring me product, you bring your product, we sell, I buy, you buy, fairly. Not dictates. We are an independent people. That's what we have been saying. But because the structure is owned by them, they kind of dictate to we. Then take we own money, then take and then trust we. In other words, take we own oil and fry we with them, and we indebted to them to the point where policies for major things in our country, such as health or education, the money will they pay them, now the equivalent of one of them policy, then they whether not education or health. So we go nowhere. IMF, then give you structure the way they ready and say pull subsidy and put burden by you people in. Okay? And create an unlevel playing field. All of this must stop. But for it to stop, we have to be in the collective. We have to really take the spirit of Pan-Africanism before the African people, wherever they are, we are all one. And spiritually, because we African people, we are spiritual people, we need to come together so that we can discover our true strength and then rise up, hopefully, and change the dynamics on the ground. Superman, before we go, say we get Baku program this week. You want to tell Fambule what you get to come for them?
Yes, thank you very much once more again. This Saturday, 8 p.m., that's the 29th of May, 2021, 8 p.m. inside Salon, go bring come a very remarkable and outstanding program for now. I want to watch the space because the flight will come out soon. I will get the full information. But don't forget for joining inside Salon, 8 p.m. at the same platform on Saturday, the 29th of May, 2021. Okay,
family, on tomorrow, we get the Meziga show, we go air on the platform. And the brother, they bring one of we industrious lady, then where they, now this country where they make them possible, one of them where they make them possible for let we feel home away from home. In other words, then find plazas they work in the so now one of the women, the way they champion, the way they bring and come and design and find fresh and prepare them for we go they go buy and eat where they make we think about home. And this person is none other than Kadi Fresh. She will be on the program tomorrow. So now tune in 8 p.m. the normal time on the Den in our platform. On Friday, there will be a program on Dr. Anes by Koroma, the former leader of, the former president of Sierra Leone and current leader of the All People's Congress. We know say the pardon broke in silence, and some of us are really concerned on how and why it broke in silence, waiting daily. So we go do some bit of speculation tomorrow and look at circumstances, but for help we for understand this in-depthly will be another great mind, a brother called Imran Toure. We go there on the platform. Probably we'll get one more, but we're not sure yet. Now we could no one disclose, but for now we get Imran na the platform. We go help we for understand this. And of course, Unai Supermed will be coming on Saturday with a surprise. Then on Sunday, the new program, episode 2 of the Week in Review, we go get Gismed Fode Mamisuma. Gismed Fode Mamisuma, another brilliant mind. So we go get them on the platform. So lots and lots coming for Una way from the dinner platform. And like I say, was it day before yesterday? We also get a radio program that come. As we begin for feel the program, they gravitate towards we, and so they feel more confidently for Teluna because they can get far wider reach in terms of radio frequency for reach with people here and there. Then in our media empire, as Super Americans say, thank you very much. And let we left now with another song by Sonny Okonsun. Yeah, will they feel revolutionary tonight?